Hey, welcome to RotoWire Fantasy Football Live Sunday edition. Starts it. We did one yesterday. Next week we'll do the same thing. We'll have one on Saturday at 4 Eastern. We have another international game, and then we will have one the usual time, always on Sunday. But we'll get you ready for game day and see what we got going today. All right, almost halftime of the Chiefs Dolphins 21-0 after the defensive score by the Chiefs. Man, Dolphins continue not to be able to hang with the big boys. We'll see if they turn that around. They may. All right, let's get some questions here. Max, just listen to Mario show. Yeah, I appreciate it. Now, 12-team standard due to injuries and buys. Singletary and Robinson. So Brian Robinson overall not really encouraged about his matchup. I do think he can always score a touchdown and come through there. I think Singletary gets more volume than him, and maybe by 5 touches. And ultimately, I would probably lean in that case toward going with Singletary over Brian Robinson. Robinson looked great in the beginning of the year, but he hasn't quite looked the same. Again, he gets the touchdowns occasionally, and that helps cash. Sometimes he gets targets, but right now I'd probably go about 60-40 on Singletary for that one. And then, Max, you another question. 12-team standard, again, due to buys. Downs, Mingo, Elijah Moore, Brandon Cooks. So if Downs is active, even though Indy should run the ball a lot, he should have a stable floor. But I would consider Brandon Cooks in this one. He's coming along in the last couple of games, not getting a ton of targets, but double moves against James Bradbury could be a really profitable move, and I think Dallas knows that, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see Cooks get a long reception, maybe a touchdown on this one. Downs is the safest if he plays. Check the inactives. Otherwise, I would definitely go with Brandon Cooks. I think he's in a great spot here. I'll get to some Instagram questions in a minute. And again, if you're asking a question, please be patient. Lots of people come in. I will get them answered. Just kind of hang tight. Delroy, half PPR, Watson or Minshew. So my line on Watson is this, because he played a few weeks ago and he couldn't drive the ball, but yet they activated him and started him. Now it's like you got to play one game and be good before I trust you. So Minshew, they might run the ball a lot in this game. But when they throw, they should have easy success, I would think. And so I'm just going to say, look, I can't trust Watson until I see him play a game. I don't know what the shoulder status is. So the safe play is Minshew. I would consider Watson a boom bust play. I think Watson does have real upside if his arm is okay, but I don't know that it is, because last time, again, it wasn't. So we got that. And then one more from Delroy, Gibson or Foreman. I think there are games where we kind of figure where Gibson's going to get more targets. I do think against New England, I think that's one of those games. Foreman is in a terrible matchup here, and there's a good chance at New Orleans the Bears trail. And, they're giving way too much work to Darrington Evans. So I'm going to lean Antonio Gibson here because Foreman has a rotten matchup here. Love Foreman, but not the matchup. Let's get a couple Instagram questions here. All right, see what we got here. And go through here. All right. Drew S. Cypher, Kincaid or Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill's been getting elite volume, but Kincaid has had good volume the last 2 games too. And so I think Kincaid, based on the last couple of weeks and Knox being out and his usage, I believe he's your floor play. I believe he's a safer floor than Taysom Hill because we never know if the bottom's going to fall out. But right now, Taysom Hill has the upside. So if you need to get 17 points, Hill could reach that. Kincaid, maybe in this matchup, 12 or 13. Cincinnati's an easy matchup, but they're easy everywhere. They're bad against the run. They're bad against the pass. They're bad against tight ends. So I don't think they have to focus on him. So Kincaid's the safer one, I believe. Taysom Hill has a little more upside. And get another instant question. Ray, Barry, Nakua or Cooper. Right now with the expectation of Stafford's not playing, I think the defense compresses. I think it's going to be tight windows for Brett Rippon. I'm going to give Cooper a whirl here because he should get targets even if Deshaun's arm isn't great. Delagizi on YouTube. Sit one, Higgins, Tank Dell, DJ Moore, or Smith and Jigba. Smith and Jigba had a 7-target game a couple of weeks ago, but that's because DK Metcalf was out. He gets 4 or 5 targets a game. This against Baltimore is not a good matchup. I would tend to sit Smith and Jigba here. I think DJ Moore gets enough targets. Those corners are better against press, but DJ's going to get the ball underneath, and he just piles up some, he'll pile up some catches, and that'll get him there. Tank Dell, the slots where you want to attack Tampa, and I think they can do that. And you have one more. Start Carr, Mayfield, Geno, or Minshew. I'm leaning Carr here. If they run the ball out and they don't have to pass, that's a concern. But the Bears, Jalen Johnson's okay covering, but the rest, no. And they get their tackles back, both of them, and they're at home, and Carr's weapons are superior. I'm going to give Carr the slight edge over each of them. And then Yason F., you're welcome. Standard scoring, Madison or Singletary. I'm going to go Singletary here because right now Akers is getting about half the work, even though the snaps aren't quite there. And Singletary, I do expect Mike Boone to get significant work, but I think Singletary gets more. And Tampa is not a scary matchup against the run anymore. This is a positive matchup, so I'm going to go with that. All right, good there. Jacob on Insta, Chuba or Demario Douglas. Chuba is going to be safer. He's going to get a high volume of touches here. And Indy is without the offensive tackle Grover Stewart, third of a 6-game PED suspension, so that really makes the run defense a bit better. Demario Douglas looks good, and he has targets, but last week only 5 for 25. So, I mean, we worry. And right now, their lack of receivers, it's weird, but and it's probably a throwing game, but Hunter Henry in the middle of the field being involved a little bit. I just think Chuba safer. And I don't know that Demario Douglas's upside is such that you sit Chuba for it. And then Coach Bill on Instagram, Geno or CJ. So I'm going to go Geno here. The matchup's tough, but what Baltimore does is they do a lot of post-snap changes. And Geno is one of those quarterbacks. He doesn't get fooled by post-snap. He actually reads through and he sits tight. He's a good processor. And I think that his weapons, that bodes well. I think he can offset what Baltimore does defensively. Richard on YouTube. 1 point. And again, if you're waiting for your question, please be patient. Always a lot of people in the house and glad to get to everybody, but just be patient with me. Appreciate it. And if you can hit that like button, if you're on RotoWire YouTube, it'd be greatly appreciated. Also have some threads at the X, Jim Coventry NFL. Please consider giving me a follow. And if you do, there's like a condensed game notes. If you want to find the game, just find it in the threads and you can kind of get to some players if you want a little confirmation or, help beyond the starts at stream here. All right, Richard. Devontae Smith, DK Metcalf, or James Cook, you need two. James Cook has a good matchup against Cincinnati. Cincinnati doesn't stop the run well anymore. They are not playing well right now. DK Metcalf, we said earlier, I overall will see some Marlon Humphrey. That's not a great matchup, but I do think with Geno being able to read defenses, that certainly helps. But I don't know if it's a big ceiling game for DK Metcalf. Devontae Smith, he had the busted coverage touchdown last week. Dallas plays a lot of man now. When they play man, half of the targets of the whole passing pie go to A.J. Brown. So that actually works against Smith. So I would be inclined to look at it this way. Cook is in. DK is the floor play. And I do think there's a ceiling for Devontae. If you want to risk some floor for some ceiling, that'd be Devontae Smith. If you want the safer play, I do believe it's DK Metcalf who has a solid floor game here. We want one more on YouTube here as we move through these. Brandon Cook's a good pick. Yeah, he is. And I would drop Jameson Williams here because they bring in Donovan Peoples-Jones. That's a direct correlation to Jameson Williams' role. So I do think he's not in favor with the coach here right now. So Brandon Cooks would be the one. I like him over Tank, though, because that Dallas pass off is looking better as we go. Johnny Football, Singletary, Devin Singletary, or Gabe Davis. So, look, Gabe Davis is a really good matchup. I don't know if Lou Anarumo is going to try to put extra resources on Stephon Diggs. They can't deal with him. And it's a big jump to think they're going to do that. So Gabe Davis is total boom bust because if they don't allocate a ton of pressure to Diggs, they probably go because Cheeto Awuzie is not playing at the level he did before the ACL. So I'm going to say Singletary safe. He's a safe, high floor, going to get about 15 touches here. If you need pop over the top, you have a potential big game, but you're going to risk a 2 for 30, but you could get 20 points, and Gabe Davis would be your choice there. Instagram, Jacob Snyder. Oh, we answered that one already. Coach Bill, we answered you already. Brian McBee, what's up to you as well? Stevenson or Moss? All right, so Stevenson is going to be a volume play against Washington. It's a tough run defense. The defensive tackles are really good there. And so Daron Payne and, oh my gosh, Jonathan Allen. So that's going to be tough. But Stevenson should catch 4 passes here. Now, Moss, he's still getting double-digit touches, and even though his snap share is down to like 38% last week. But I think Moss has more upside here because this is a great matchup. I mean, Carolina is brutal against the run. So I'm going to give Moss a 51-49 edge, but if you have a gut feel on Stevenson, he should catch some passes here, so you might consider that as well. One more for Johnny Football on YouTube. Trevor Lawrence or Sam Howell the remainder of the season? So that's a good question because Trevor Lawrence is better for NFL than he is for fantasy. They're leaning on ETN a lot, and he's getting a lot of the heavy lifting in the goal line area done, taking touchdowns that might be passing scores. Sam Howell, look, at this point, I mean, he's productive. He might take a ton of sacks. He might not, be a real NFL quarterback over time, but he's going to produce this year. He's got weapons. He's got a great coach. So honestly, I think Howell scores more points. But here's the thing, and I would still roster Lawrence because Sam Howell eventually could get figured out. He takes so many hits. He's a candidate to get hurt. Too many hits. Trevor Lawrence avoids a lot of hits, and he could heat up because he's a superstar quarterback. So even though I think Howell at this point today would score more points, there's a bigger likelihood Howell misses chunks of time because of injury. So I would probably go Trevor Lawrence for that. B. Ali, Gabe Davis, or Demario Douglas. I don't think Demario Douglas' floor is so high that it's that much better than Gabe Davis's. And I think Gabe Davis, this could be a very high volume passing game against a Bengals defense that really is not anywhere close to last year's. So I would be inclined to go Gabe Davis there. All right, Gary Oliveira, Zay Flowers, or DK. So look, the Seattle corners, it's a problem for Zay Flowers. I don't know how much yardage after the catch he's getting. He's a screen king. He gets a lot of screens, but this is a bad matchup for him. So I'm not excited. DK Metcalf, again, I'll see some Marlon Humphrey, but I think DK Metcalf has a reasonable floor with Flowers, and I think he has a tick more ceiling. I'm going 55-45 DK. Again, in that range where if you got a gut feel, it's fine, but I am going to lean DK Metcalf there. Tracy jumps in the house. Welcome, Tracy. Good to see you as always. Just Griff, Hubbard, Singletary, or Ford. I still think Ford is not close to 100%, and I think there's going to be a three-man backfield here, and if they get a lead, they might even spot his work a bit. Singletary and Hubbard should see similar workloads. For Hubbard, Indianapolis, I think the advantage is that we're going to see no Grover Stewart, defensive tackle. That's a big loss to the run defense. I think Singletary might see a little less work than Hubbard because, I think Mike Boone, who was playing 16 and 17% of snaps with all of their running backs, I think he just gets into a 40% role. I'm going to give Hubbard a 51-49 edge over Singletary. I'm going to leave Ford out because I don't think he's 100%. Jules Ortiz, Shaheed, Tank Dell Flowers, pick 2. The thing with Shaheed, it's a phenomenal matchup, but will they need to throw him the ball? They might have enough success running on the Bears. They don't need him. But, man, his ceiling is right where Tank Dell's is at. And Tank Dell's, you attack Tampa in the middle of the field because their outside corners are better than their interior. Flowers is a bad matchup, but he's hard to sit because he's going to get 5 catches. So I think we play Flowers for the floor. And then between Tank Dell and Sheed, it is literally 50-50. But I do think Tank Dell's quarterback will see a lot of the blitz. I'm going to lean Shaheed 51-49 over Tank Dell because the Bears don't get pressure, and that could lead to a downfield play. So it'll be Flowers and Shaheed. Tank Dell is super close. So King D Love on Instagram, Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, DJ Moore. So again, Zay Flowers, I don't expect much yardage here against those Seattle corners. DJ Moore matches up favorably with the bigger corners of New Orleans, where he can get open underneath a lot of shorts and maybe break something and run after the catch. Nico Collins has been down recently, and I don't really like his matchup against the Tampa corners. I think they match up well with him, and the blitz might be a problem. I'm going to give DJ Moore a super slight edge over Nico Collins, and then Collins a slight edge over Flowers. If you think Collins is a gut feel over Moore, definitely it's close enough to go with Collins because he always could have that. Put it this way, if Collins is capable of a big game right now, I don't know what Tyson Bagent that Moore is. Moore is the best floor play of the 3, I think. Ethan Betterman on YouTube. You need to half point. Madison, Singletary, Henderson. So Singletary for sure because he should have enough volume and the Tampa defense isn't scary. Now, between Henderson and Madison is going to be tough. Madison is now completely splitting work, and Atlanta is a real beast against the run. Henderson is going to have the problem that if Brett Rippon starts, the Green Bay's going to walk their defense up and dare Rippon to beat him deep, and that's going to be less room for Henderson to go. But ultimately, I think Henderson gets more work than Madison, so I give him a 52-48 edge over Madison in this one. And Cam Akers has been getting work at the goal line, not Madison. Austin Shane, you got non-PPR. You need 3 of Collins, Chuba, Josh Downs, or Jacoby Myers. So Josh Downs is like a true game time decision. That means he's not close to 100%. There's a good chance that Indy could run the ball. Josh Downs is amazing. He's a great player. He's doing great. But I think they might not need him a ton in this game. So Chuba Hubbard, I think, is in for volume. And I think Nico Collins, that we talked about earlier, it's not a great matchup, but a healthy Collins over a not healthy Downs, I think I give Collins the edge. And Jacoby Myers, we got to go back to him. Aiden O'Connell's a quarterback. I get it. But even O'Connell in that Bears game, he threw the touchdown to Jacoby Myers. I think Myers has to get 7 or 8 targets in this game. And regardless of quarterback, he's been getting it done. So, look, if you got a gut feel on Downs, go ahead and sit Nico Collins maybe. But I would sit Downs because of the injury and maybe the run. They don't need to pass the ball here. You got one more. And again, if your question's not being answered, please be patient. I will get to you. Austin, you need 2 of Taysom Hill, Dalton Schultz, and McBride non-PPR. We're definitely going Taysom. The volume in the last 3 weeks has been extreme, the production, and I don't see them really going away too much from him. Now, Dalton Schultz, if you notice that his targets evaporated when Tank Dell came back from the concussion, his game and a half where he had the targets when Tank Dell was out, they're both middle of the field guys, slot receiver, tight end. So that worries me. But the problem with McBride is going to be you got Clayton Tune, a quarterback, and the Browns are going to put an insane amount of pressure. They might need McBride to block more in this game. So I give Schultz a 52-48 edge over McBride in this one for that reason. Again, that's gut feel territory. Sauger, welcome. Kamara receiving over 35.5 yards. So here's the trick, though. They might not need to throw the ball. A lot of times Carr throws in the ball because he's under pressure, and it's a dump off to him. And the Bears don't bring pressure. There's like nothing to worry about. And both tackles are back. I think they could run the ball successfully. I don't think they have to screen him the ball. So for that reason, I don't like the over on it because, again, a lot of his receptions come out of game script and pass rush. That's not going to be here. There's so many ways they could beat the Bears. I don't think they have to go to that one. Instagram, Tracy, flex, Charbonnet or Mooney. So Mooney got the downfield shot last week and caught it. But, man, this cornerback matchup is really, really tough for him. And the pass rush is real from New Orleans. And so I'm very concerned about him here. Whereas Charbonnet, I don't think he gets the work he had last week because I think Kenneth Walker was dealing with a calf. But Baltimore's not a good matchup, but I think he gets a few catches out of the backfield. So I think Charbonnet, and I think I froze again. I don't know why I'm freezing on installs. I'll look like unfreeze, and I'll finish answering the question. And then, all right, so I froze there. So Tracy, I think Charbonnet's going to catch 2 to 3 passes there, and I think that gives him a higher floor than Mooney. So for that reason, I'll go with Charbonnet. Mooney would probably he'd have to catch a long pass to go for upside, and this is not the matchup where I can predict that's going to happen. And then Babis Maros, what are the chances of Booker, Clay, and Eldama? That looks like it's probably an NBA question, so I don't have any idea. I'm 100% football. Mad Rapper on Instagram, Puka or Cooper. Like I said, I think that with Brett Rippon, I think we're going to see a compressed box. I think everything's underneath is going to be tougher to get to. And I'm going to go to Murray Cooper here because even with not sure with Deshaun Watson's like, he's going to get the ball to Cooper. So I'm going to go with that. All right, Ty, let's get your question here. Maureen, you as well. We're on YouTube here for this one. Start Stroud or drop him. I still think they're in a process of making adjustments to the adjustments the league made to them. So I do think there's hope for CJ Stroud that might not come for a couple of weeks. I would not drop him unless you have to. And with the options you're talking about, Geno, Heineke, Love, and Minshew, I don't know that any of them, and I know Minshew's had some fantasy performances, but man, from an NFL standpoint, he's making a ton of mistakes, and eventually he's Minshew. We've seen it every year that he plays. Eventually the bottom drops out. I would hold CJ Stroud right now. And then PPR Downs or Smith and Jigba. So if Downs is active, I would play him over Smith and Jigba. The targets, when DK, he had the 7 targets and Metcalf was out. He doesn't get enough targets otherwise. And let me see. Smith and Jigba, unless there's an injury, I don't think his targets are going to tick up. And DeMario Douglas is going to targets the rest of the season. So I would think that he would have a higher floor than Smith and Jigba, so I would consider making that drop for him. Oh, Raheem Mostert, nice little reverse run. All right, Robert, welcome, man. Good to see you. Texans or Giants D, need one. Look, the Texans, a couple of young pass rushers, Jonathan Greenard and Will Anderson, but that Tampa line, they don't give up. Mayfield doesn't get hit. And then when pressure comes, he steps up in the pocket. I don't see much of a world where they're able to create a lot of takeaways. I do think the Giants, Dexter Lawrence is wrecking it inside, and that's the weakness of the Raiders line is interior, and you have Aiden O'Connell. I'm going to go to Giants by a pretty good margin here. Brian Upton, and I'll get back to some Insta in a minute. And again, if your question has not been answered, please be patient. I will get to you. Got a lot of people who hang out on Sundays. We try to get to everybody here. We will get to everybody. Brian, you have the Dallas defensive special team, but I pick up one. Atlanta Chargers, Giants, Texans. You know what? If you have Dallas, I don't drop them. If you're about dropping them, I wouldn't drop them. You play through the bad weeks when you have great. I have Cleveland, and that's why I keep Cleveland. I don't care who they play. I keep them because I know the big weeks are coming. Not worth streaming. And these teams that stream, so frequently they bomb out, even in great matchups. So none of those are so oppressively good, if that's the thing. I'm keeping Dallas because Dallas still could end up with that pick 6 or something. They play aggressively. So I'm gonna say that way. All right, let's see what else we got here on Insta. We have just Griffin. Do you maybe answer that one? Puka, no, you didn't answer one. Puka, Amari, or Nico. You need 2. I'm gonna play Nico and Amari here. I'm concerned about, again, Brett Rippon and the Packers just condensing everything, and that's where Puka runs his routes. There may be more traffic than he usually sees there. With no Matthew Stafford, the defense doesn't have to respect downfield as much. King Bodega, Hubbard, Stevenson, Jones, or Henderson pick 2. I assume it's Aaron Jones, and if it's Aaron Jones, we're definitely going. If it's Tony Jones, we're not. So if it's Aaron Jones, he's 1. Hubbard is 2. Stevens at 3. Henderson's 4, because like I said about the compressing in the defense, I think that's going to be a thing here, and I think that's problematic for him. And Coach Bill, you're welcome. And then Tone Loke 2013 on Insta, full PPR, flex Hunter Singletary. Look, Hunt's been doing well, and I see I froze again on Insta, so I'll come back to that question. I see I'm unfrozen. I will answer it for you though. Dude Love on YouTube. All right. Oh, I unfroze on Insta. All right. So Tone Loke, Singletary's going to have more volume, so he's safer. And actually, there's a chance he gets in the end zone in this one, right? And so as nice as Hunt's been in the red zone, his snap share hasn't been great. And they have a 3-man backfield, I think, in this one. I'm going to give Singletary a 60-40 edge in this one. All right. Dude Love, quarterback nightmares, Mayfield, Heineke, Aiden O'Connell, Mac. All right. So Mac Jones is in a good spot this week because what happened was when Washington traded away their 2 pass rushers, that changes the whole face of their defense, and they can't cover. So now they can't cover, and they will have to cover for longer, but the receivers stink. Mayfield, I get it. It's not a great matchup against Houston. Houston defends the pass very well, but the play action, the protection, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and Mayfield runs, I'm going to give Mayfield the edge here. It's Geno from an NFL standpoint is going to play a decent game, but he just struggles to get that second touchdown in almost every game. JR, good morning to you as well. Standard system, Carr or Stroud. We're going to go with Carr here. Stroud hasn't got to 200 yards in the last 2 games, and I do think Tampa could give him trouble with the blitz in the outside corners. And Carr, again, they might have to throw a lot, but that Bears matchup is very, very good. Bijan or Edwards. So Edwards has had 2 good weeks in a row. This week, Bobby Wagner has changed the face of that defense, and they also traded for I don't know why I have name of it. They traded for defensive tackle this week, and it was a great pickup for them. Leonard Williams, maybe? I think it was Leonard Williams. Yeah, that's right. And so I think that run defense is really tough. So it's a bad matchup for Gus. I'm going to go with Bijan here. Olave or Dell. Dell is just very boom bust. It's a good matchup in the inside. And Olave hasn't put up big yards, but even in his bad games, his floor is very good. So, and they're playing the Bears, and Jalen Johnson is playing very well for the Bears, but not with Chris Olave good. So again, we just roll Olave out each week because his floor is so good. We know to see their Uncle Ted, happy winning. Good to see you, everybody. And by the way, those who are here, thanks for letting me hang out with you on Sunday. Make me part of your fantasy football experience. Greatly appreciate it. If you hit the like button, if you're on RotoWire YouTube, be greatly appreciated. And also on the X at Jim Coventry NFL, would be great if you can give me a follow. And if you can see the threads I put up for today's game day, if there's anything you need that can help you with the game previews, each game I got on different threads. All right. King Ray Torres on Instagram. Is Puka a good start with Stafford being out in his knee? No, not a good start. I don't know what the upside is because I really think that Jair Alexander's back, so Puka's on that side of the field. It's a tougher matchup for him. And I just don't think Matthew Stafford saves a lot of problems that the Rams offense would have. Between Stafford and McVay, they make a lot of beautiful things happen. I think taking Stafford out of that equation is very, very difficult for that offense to overcome. Sideshow Mill, James Cook or White. So White's going to get his targets. That's kind of like a non-star. He's going to get his 4 or 5 targets, and he's going to catch a good number of them. So there's that. So I think White in full PPR and half PPR, I don't like him. But full PPR, yeah, he's a good floor. Henderson, I do think Green Bay's run defense is better than it used to be. And it's not a good matchup for him, and they're going to compress the defense. James Cook, I love him as an upside. Cincinnati's been bad. They can't defend the run. They sell the tackles. They're not defending the run, and they're not stopping the pass. And they're going to sell out to stop the pass. And I think Cook's going to have good yardage here. But I think White, from a PPR standpoint, is the safest. But I think Cook has significantly more upside than White because there could be one or two big plays in this one. So if you want safe, go White. If you want to risk some floor for ceiling, it'll be Cook. But White because of the catches only. Vinny, do you start Puka or Dotson? Hard to go. See, Dotson last week, it was a real specific circumstance. So Eric Bieniemy, great game plan. He figures out that, okay, against Philly, they play base on first down, throw on first down. Almost every first down they threw, and that helped. They were not ready for it. And the outside corners of Philly are not playing well. So Dotson had that one game out of nowhere because the rest of the season has been like 3 for 30, and that's been it. But that said, Puka, with the quarterback he has, the floor could be worse than we think. So I'm going to give, hey man, if your gut says Puka, he proved everybody wrong. Every other week he proves the whole world wrong. So, but I think the quarterback is going to be a problem to overcome here. So there's that. So I would start Dotson 51-49. But again, if your gut says Puka, he's been great. He's had a couple down games, but he's been great. And Dotson did it once. So there's that. Mace 1, JSN, or Gallup. Oh, man. So again, Gallup sometimes gets 4 starts. He had 10 targets in one game. JSN catches more of his targets than Gallup catches. I think JSN actually has a better floor than Gallup. And against Baltimore, those 3-4 targets could end up in 35 yards. And Gallup's floor is like, you could see a 2 for 20 coming. So 51-49 JSN. Smiley, Sal, Stash, Fournette. I really think he can't cut into James Cook's workload. They want explosiveness on the ground. I think he might see some short yardage work, might see occasional third down work. But I think they probably are getting him with an eye on the NFL playoffs more than what would be the meat of our fantasy season. So depending, if your league is super deep and there's nobody out there, fine. But it might take, I can't, even though he said he's in game shape, seriously, I can't even see him. It's probably take him a few weeks to even get to that point. So again, at league size, if it's, that's what's there, then fine. Delroy, start 2. Diggs, Devontae Smith, Collins, Boyd, Wandale. Diggs and Devontae Smith, don't overthink it. Nico's had some down games, and the outside corners for Tampa are tough. Rahenda, need 1 PPR. Downs, Michael Thomas, or Dell. Right now, because Downs is not 100% with that knee issue that popped up late in the week, Thomas is the safest, and he usually gets you about close to 10 PPR points almost every single week, and it's very hard to complain about that. But if you want a boom bust option, that would be Tank Dell in the slot against Tampa. That would be the place to attack them, but he's very risky. So Thomas would be the safe play. If you want to go risky for upside, it'd be Tank Dell. Dude Love, half PPR, need 1. Olave, Pittman, or Addison. So Addison doesn't have that quarterback hit from Jaron Hall. He's the unknown. You have better options anyway. Look, like I said earlier, Olave, his floor games are solid. Pittman, always a great play, great matchup, but they might be able to run so effectively and they might have to throw a lot here. I'm going to give Olave the nod here and playing the Bears, even if Jalen Johnson, he's not, like I said, Jalen Johnson isn't Chris Olave good. And Vinny, Texans or Vikings D. So again, Baker Mayfield's protected very well, and he has elite receivers. And so I would tend to go with the Vikings, who are going to blitz a ton. And Taylor Heineke's a perfect quarterback to give you some turnovers. So I would go with them. Ray Rodriguez, start 2, full PPR. Watson, Dell, Douglas. Hold on, Patrick Mahomes, watching him move around the pocket here on a 3rd and 16. Oh my gosh, he's going to run. He's going to run for it. Oh, he came a yard short. Wow, big run by Mahomes. Good for fantasy for sure. All right, so Ray, Watson, Christian Watson. I assume Tank Dell, Demario Douglas, and Wande. Ooh, that's a rough one, man. Watson has no ceiling right now, and his floor is disgusting. And Dell is a boom bust play. Demario Douglas is the safest. Remember, Wande only had 3 targets over the last 2 weeks. Those were with Tyrod. Usually when Daniel Jones plays, a 6 to 8 targets a game. So Douglas, I'd say, is in for floor, high floor. Wandale would be your next best floor play, but if you want some potential upside, then I would go Tank Dell. I wish I could say Watson, but I just don't trust his quarterback to get him the ball downfield. All right, back to Insta. Nightling. I can't. It's a long name. It's hard for me to read it. Also, Nightling. It looks like Tank Dell, Puka, or Douglas at the flex. Douglas is the safest. He should get you 10 PPR points. I see I froze on Insta, so I'll come back to that question. Guy Robinson Jr. or Keontae Ingram. In this case, I will go with Robinson because I do think he has a better chance of scoring a touchdown and getting a catch or two. Ingram, Cleveland does give a big yardage on the ground, but those are usually to explosive backs, and Ingram's not that. And I think game script might get him out. Terry McLaurin or Nico Collins. Nico Collins is struggling a little bit lately. Terry McLaurin always gets the ball, so I definitely roll him. He's getting a lot of targets lately, too. All right, back to into where I unfroze. Nightling, Tank Dell, Puka, or Douglas. Douglas is your floor play. Your boom bust play is Tank Dell here. So you have a lower floor by a good margin over Douglas, but against Tampa's interior, he has enough chance for that big play. So look at that. KMB21 on Instagram, DJ Moore, Quentin Johnston, or Logan Thomas. So Quentin Johnston with Josh Palmer out is going to see either DJ Reed or Sauce Gardner. That's a stay away. DJ Moore and Logan Thomas both have solid floors here, and Moore matches up favorably with the physical corners of New Orleans. He can get open for short stuff and run after the catch. But Logan Thomas is a factor in the red zone. I think it's like very close between DJ Moore and Logan Thomas, but I think the targets for Moore are a little more likely to come, where he should get 7 targets. And Logan Thomas, it's just the tight ends. The game plan. So Moore is your safest play, and I think he has a reasonable enough potential to break a longer one. I'd put him ahead of Logan Thomas. Ray Rodriguez on YouTube, Dylan or Roshan. Horrible matchup for Roshan. He's their passing now. Like they probably trail. That means he could get extra work as a pass catcher. Now that's if Darrington Evans doesn't come in and play a ton, which I don't get that one at all. Dylan probably moves into a complimentary role now with Aaron Jones supposed to be a full go. I think because of the pass catching ability, and I know Dylan's caught passes, I get that, but if Aaron Jones is a full go, I think those receptions go down. So I think Roshan has the best opportunity to catch some passes here. All right, let's see what we got here. And then Clobbery on Instagram, Ramondre or Henderson. I'm going to go with Ramondre. I think he catches 3 to 4 passes here. Henderson, I'm very worried about the whole defense compressing with Brett Rippon in, and that would be a problem for him because he's not good, but he's taking advantage of some good opportunities. But I just don't think that opportunity is going to be in this game. Tracy, hello to you as well. Let's see what we got here. Muzz Lightyear, Godwin, Downs, Hubbard, or Henderson, the flex full PPR. We're going to go, well, all right. Godwin and Hubbard are close. Hubbard's going to get a lot of volume here. And with Grover Stewart out, interior lineman for the defensive line for Indy, that gives him a positive matchup. Godwin's been getting a lot of red zone looks and caught them all. Got one. But you know what? I think Godwin has that blend of floor and ceiling. And Houston's been good against receivers. But Chris Godwin, again, is a superstar. And Downs is less than 100%. And Henderson, you just heard me give the breakdown on him. So I am going to give Godwin a 55-45 edge over Hubbard in this one because I feel he has more upside. Hubbard, I think, has a safer floor because he's probably going to get 17 touches. So go on that. Lisa, welcome back. Rashad White or Gus Edwards. So assuming it's PPR, full PPR, Rashad White's going to catch 4 or 5 passes. And that puts him at Gus Edwards. This matchup isn't good. Bobby Wagner really makes that running defense an ace for Seattle. And so that said, I think it's going to be hard for him to get those interior yards because that's where they're strong. So I'm going to go Rashad White because of PPR only. But, man, love Gus Edwards, but just don't think this time. And, Lisa, you also asking Herbert or Howell. Yeah, Herbert, no Joshua Palmer. Obviously, no Mike Williams for the season. And they're playing the Jets in New York. They've been a beast defensively. Sam Howell, loved what he did last week. They are playing New England. Bill Belichick he's going to give him the rookie quarterback treatment. He's going to show him some really confusing looks. So I think that in this case, because I think the Bill Belichick factor is real, I am going to go with Herbert because, look, he'll run for some. He finds a way to get enough done where Howell has real floor in this game if Belichick confuses him. And that could be – I froze again. I'll come back to it. Oh, I got a super chat here. I got to get to a super chat question. Let me get to that here. And I got to get rolling. I got a super chat. I got two of them, maybe. I got two super chats. Let me get these in here right now. All right. So, super chat question one: Sea Dog, Chuba or Dell, full PPR. I think Chuba's floor should be exceptional in this one. Again, I say Grover Stewart, the defensive tackle, is on the third of a 6-game suspension for the Colts. That gives Chuba a very nice edge. Dell is very boom bust, and to predict that's tough. And Chuba could score a touchdown, so his ceiling is potentially there as well. And so I'm going to go with Chuba 60-40. And then Daniel Keps Keenan need two: Ford, Moss, or Henderson. We're going to play Moss. He's still getting double-digit touches. It's a beautiful matchup. 10 touches could still get him 60 yards and maybe a touchdown. The Ford Henderson one is tough because Ford is definitely not 100%, but it's a great matchup. Henderson, I do think that Green Bay is going to compress the defense of Brett Rippon. So I'm going to give Ford a 55-45 edge over Henderson. Thanks for being a super chat user here. And if you put these up for a while, I'm sorry, I just got to them. I just saw them. So I apologize for that. It doesn't prominently display on my screen. So, all right, let me go back to where, see if I can find my question was. And then, all right, so John Rubright's asking Seattle D or the Jets D this week. You know, I just think ultimately Lamar is not going to turn the ball over a lot here. I think he's going to be able to, he's probably going to run a lot. The Jets D, I think they're going to get to Herbert. I think they're going to cause some problems. And I think missing Josh Palmer is not great. I think it's going to put enough of a downgrade in their offense. I'm going to give the Jets defense a slight edge. And also with Seattle, they're on the road. I don't like streaming road defenses. And so Lisa Sells, so back to your question on Instagram today, I froze. So I was going, I say we're going to go with Herbert's talent over Howell. That's where we're going to go because Bill Belichick could really make it miserable for him. So we're going to do that. King D Love, the Philly or the Chargers defense. The Chargers defense is awful. And Joey Bosa is not playing at a high level. And that's very problematic. So we're just going to say, you know what? Dak does throw interceptions. And we're going to just hope that Philly can create that. So that'd be the way to go there, I think. Lozano, does Lamar pass for 200 yards? Probably not. But I hate betting the under because you get a busted coverage and it's done. Zay Flowers catches that screen and the safety moved the wrong way, and all of a sudden 70 yards later, you're sitting at an over. So 7 times out of 10, he doesn't go over. 3 times out of 10, he does. So that's where we look at that one. C. Faulkner on YouTube. Good morning to you as well. Half PPR. Need 2. Devontae Smith, DK, or Godwin. You have Hurts the quarterback. So I do think the best floor of them all is Chris Godwin. Even though Houston's strong against the pass, like I said, Chris Godwin's a superstar and Mayfield's protected. They use play action. It works really well. I think the highest upside of the group is Devontae Smith. This game could shoot out. Last week was a busted coverage that got him his touchdown, but that might have been something that woke him up from his slump and gets him going. So there's that. Adrian Flores with Buy's injury need help picking a flex. Happy are Jacoby Myers, Tank Dell, or DeMario Douglas. So Douglas and Myers both are good floor plays. Even with Aiden O'Connell, I think Jacoby Myers is going to see his targets. Last week was a rough one. Bye-bye, Josh McDaniels, right? Dell is your boom bust guy. I think it's a low floor, but in the interior against Tampa, he could come up big. But I think Myers would be my best blend of floor and upside of those few. All right, Randy. Hey, welcome, Randy. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me on Sunday. Randy, non-PPR, I think of Jerome Ford, Pierre Strong, Henderson, and Singletary. Have to start to. I'm going to go Ford and Singletary there. Singletary should get enough volume. He's going to split with Mike Boone, I think. I do think Ford is going to see more work than Pierre Strong in a very, very good matchup. Henderson, I am worried about compressing the defense. So an issue there. And then Wandale or DeMario Douglas. I'm going to go DeMario Douglas here because Wandale just not working for him, and he'll get targets here. But DeMario Davis will do it. His matchup is great. Randy, we're going to rank Downs, Dell, and DeMario rest of schedule. Downs easily number 1. And then Dell is going to be that boom bust guy. DeMario Douglas will be safer. But if you want him ranked, it'd be Downs 1. And if you want a safe guy, it's Douglas. If you want a high upside, lower floor guy, it's Tank Dell. All right, insert. Let's see how many more I have an insert if I can. Yeah, I still have a bunch. So I probably got to come back and just keep working my way through this. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, let me see here. I got to find out where I was at now. I scrolled too far back down. All right, yeah, that's where I left off. Instagram, we've got Dom Tucci, start Giants defense or Houston. I'm going to go with the Giants defense here. The interior pass rush can get to Aiden O'Connell, and Dexter Lawrence is playing at a super high level right now, so I would look that way. And Pablo Iha's Raiders or Giants defense. Giants defense, because again, the reason I just said Hunter Henry or Michael Mayer, this is a good Hunter Henry game potentially. The middle of the field should be a very good place to go. You have to pass against Washington. Interior, the defensive tackles, combined with the bad run blocking for New England, means they're probably going to have to throw the ball. So I would lean Hunter Henry here. And Tracy, you're welcome. And Chase Landis, Gus Edwards, Aaron Jones. Gus Edwards has a rugged matchup here. He's had some good ones, not this week. I'm going to go with Aaron Jones. I expect him to be a full go, and that's like a 70-31. Tone Loke, Stevenson, Hunt, or Singletary. Singletary is the safest volume of the group. I go 1. Hunt has the best chance of getting in the end zone. He's number 2, and Stevenson's number 3. J Lua 42 on Instagram. Dotson or Puka? Yeah, somebody had a similar question. You know what? Puka proves everybody wrong all the time. So if your gut says Puka, go with him. I think Dotson has a similar floor, but is a good matchup. I'd give Dotson a 51-49 edge over Puka. But if your gut says Puka, again, he proves everybody wrong every time. So just remember that. Tone Low, Kareem Hunter, Singletary, you're going Singletary. Pablo Iha's Mayer, Hunter Henry, you're going Henry. Giants or Raiders defense, we're going Giants. Milo Baker, Darrell Henderson, or Singletary. We're going Singletary. You should get volume. And again, Darrell Henderson, I think the defense gets compressed. Not good. Craig in Iowa. Pittman and Higgins over Kincaid and Chuba. Don't see a compelling reason to say no to that. I think Hubbard has a safer, but if that's 2-2, then that's the way I would go. I think Chuba and Kincaid have a higher floor than Pittman this week because if the Colts run the ball all day, then they're not going to need to pass much. But otherwise, Higgins for sure would go in. Whoops. Fosterman, half PPR, Puka, Downs, Lockett, Dell need 2. If Downs is cleared to play, again, I get like with Pittman, they may not have to throw a lot, but I think of this group, his floor is the best. So I would go with him. Lockett's been struggling a little bit, and I don't like the Baltimore matchup so much here. So I would say if Downs for sure, the best floor of that remaining group would probably be Puka. I don't think he's have a good game, but I think Dell's your boom bust play, and I would probably lean toward playing Dell because again, the slot is kind of where you want to get after the Bucs, and you can do that. And another Insta question: KMB21, Quentin Johnson, Logan Thomas. I think I answered for somebody. I put DJ Moore just ahead of Logan Thomas. Quentin Johnson not messing with those corners. Pepe the Tiger, Demario Douglas, or Josh Downs because. With that matchup, they both have good floors, but I'm worried about Downs' knee injury, so I would go Demario Douglas slightly over there. And I answered that one already. Fosterman, maybe you asked that one, maybe someone else did. I put so Fosterman is Puka, Downs, or Lockett, half PPR, need 2. Oh, maybe I didn't answer, so this sounds like a new one. So, all right, I am going to go. I think Downs is a reasonable if he plays. You can make sure he stays active. I think his floor would be reasonable to put in there. And then Lockett be your boom bust of those 3. Puka probably gets 3 to 4 catches. Lockett could have that down game. I would probably go, though, Lockett and Downs. That's the way I would go. Puka, I'm, again, worried the defense compressing and Brett Rippon's going to be a problem. Again, I'm assuming Rippon's the quarterback. Howard Kodas next week at Fields and Kyler. I froze on there. Let me get back to YouTube here. All right. All right. Adrian Flores, half PPR. Tyler Lockett or Puka Nacua. I just answered this question. So it's funny. I answered the same similar question for somebody on Instagram. So I'm going to say, look, I think Tyler Lockett has a reasonable enough floor, and I think he has more ceiling than Nacua this week. Again, Puka, as I said, proves everybody wrong every week. So if you believe in Puka and you got to go that way, do it. I just think this with the quarterback change, that's going to hurt him. Dude Love, half PPR, Singletary, Cook, or Chuba. So I think the highest floor of these 3 is Chuba Hubbard. He has the best floor. I think Cook has a really good matchup, so there's some upside here, but Chuba is the safest. If you want to risk some floor for some ceiling, then it might be Cook, but Chuba has a reasonable enough ceiling because he could in the end zone. Jed, good morning to you as well. DPJ, rest of the season. I think he blocks a lot. I don't think he's going to be heavily utilized as a receiver, kind of similar to the role he had in Cleveland. He played like 80% of the snaps, but 0 to 4 targets a game. Jameson Williams is still going to be in there some of the time. Josh Reynolds, his role isn't going anywhere. And this is an interior passing team. The games that the opponents play heavy man against them, I think DPJ will see some targets. When teams play zone, you even see Josh Reynolds go away. So not excited about DPJ rest of schedule. Carlos Godinez, Sarpuka, Dotson, or Douglas. I think Douglas has the best floor of the three. And Dotson's your boom bust guy. I do again. I'm concerned that last week was kind of a one-off because of the way they attacked Philly on early downs. That Philly wasn't ready for it. But I think Douglas is safest, and your boom bust is Dotson. Again, if your gut says Puka, he proves people wrong like every week. So definitely consider that as well. Johnny Football, Gabe Davis, or DJ Moore. You know what? As much as I think DJ Moore is a nice opportunity, he has Tyson Bagent. Gabe Davis has Josh Allen. I think we're just going to make it simple and say, let's go with the quarterback. And since he's not good on D this year, they're hoping on some gimmickry, but they can't cover. I'm going to go with him in a high scoring game likely. We see this play here. Patrick Mahomes is trying to get them down the field here. All right. Rookie Rager. Do I like Downs or Rice? I do. Man, it's tough. They're both. Downs gets more volume, but Rice might get more volume, but he hasn't. Been 4 to 6 targets a game in the last 5 weeks. So love them both. I'd rather attach myself to Patrick Mahomes and Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew, we've seen it year after year. At some point, he implodes. So we got to go with that. All right, let's get back to YouTube here. Robert, and if your question has been answered, please be patient. I will get to you. We just got to get through a lot of stuff here. All right, let's see here. Okay, Robert, half I'm watching the game too a little bit. So Zach Moss, Hunter, Madison. We're going to go with Zach Moss here. Easy matchup. He might get 10 or 11 touches. That's enough. I think that's enough. Don Meyer, Gabe Davis, hey to you, or Zay Flowers. I'm going to go Gabe Davis. Zay Flowers, I don't like him against those Seattle corners. I think that's a bad matchup for him. Eric, welcome back. Josh Downs is questionable. Yep. I think, yeah, because there's another problem with the Indy game. It's that they might have so much success running the ball on Carolina, they might not need to throw much. So that worries me. So DeMario Douglas has a high floor. So I like that. John Brown, good morning. Stroud or Howell? You know, I'm worried about Sam Howell against Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, I'm sure he found some things on film that he wants to exploit, and he probably can. So, but Stroud, those outside corners of Tampa and the blitz, that's going to be a tough one. So I think Howell probably runs for more yardage. 51-49 Howell. If you got a gut feeling, go with it. Andrea, good morning to you. Need one. Stevenson, Devontae Smith, Josh Downs, T. Higgins, and you're playing Chase. You know what? I'm going with Higgins here. Buffalo, this is a bad matchup for them. The outside corners, they cannot, what they have right now, they cannot hang with Burrow's outside receivers. Now, Kevin playing Chase. I think that game is also one that could go high scoring. So I would go with Higgins here. Julian Ortiz, Shaheed, Tank Deller, Flowers, pick 2, full PPR. The highest floor of them is Flowers. I don't think he has a big game here, but I think he can catch 5 or 6 balls, so he's the best floor. Shaheed is the better boom bust player with Tank Dell because that matchup against the Bears, they don't get a pass rush, and he's not going to deal with Jalen Johnson, so there's that. All right, let's see what else we got here. Go to Instagram. King Ray Torres. I'm going to go Godwin over Puka by a pretty good margin here. Houston's good against the pass, but Chris Godwin is excellent and get it done. He can beat anybody on the outside, and Baker Mayfield trusts him. Andrew on Instagram, Everett or McBride. Look, McBride is great. Last week we were very happy we called him to be a good play, but I think this week might be a little more difficult because he might need to block more against Cleveland to protect his young quarterback Clayton Tune. Everett has a great matchup. The Jets struggle in the middle of the field, especially against the tight end. I'm going to give Everett the slight edge here. McBride probably has a better floor than Everett because sometimes the Chargers go away from Everett, but I think they're going to need him. ADI 1909 on Instagram, Stroud or Mac Jones. I'm going to go Mac Jones here. I know he doesn't have great receiving weapons, but Washington, they lost their 2 edge rushers to trades. They can't cover, and I think there's a pass-heavy script. You can't run on them, so I think it's a pass-heavy script. Howard Kotis, Fields or Kyler next week if both are active. Look, Kyler's coming back from an ACL, and he needs his running. I don't know that that's going to be back right away. And I'm going to go with Fields. They're playing Carolina, too. It certainly helps. Madison Green, welcome. Lockett or Downs, full PPR. So we're a little worried about Downs' knee injury. And I said earlier that they might have so much success running the ball against Carolina that they might not need to throw a lot. Lockett doesn't have a great matchup, but he's going to get some targets here. And Geno, a lot of that post-snap change-up that Baltimore runs, that's something that really works to the advantage here of Geno Smith. I'm going to give Lockett a slight edge over Downs because of the Downs injury and maybe not needing him. Andrea, all right, Ferguson or Schultz? I'm going Ferguson here. Since since Tank Dell came back, middle of the field slot receiver, Schultz. That was where Schultz target spike went when Dell, the slot receiver, had the concussion. It's gone down since. So we're going to go Jake Ferguson here. It is a good matchup in the middle of the field for him. Joseph, good morning to you as well. Marquise Brown or Rashid Shaheed. Shaheed has a vastly higher ceiling, but a much lower floor. Marquise Brown's a bad matchup, but he should get you 5 catches for 40 yards. Makes him much safer, but I don't think there's much upside here. So I'm going to say Marquise Brown is safe. If you need a boom play, he could get 2 big plays against the Bears. That wouldn't surprise me. Richard, thank you for the kind words. Appreciate you. Johnny. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Nate, good to see you, Nate. Glad you're here. Let's go on to the Dolphins office. You know what? They don't show up against the big boys. The teams, I've noticed this. The teams that have the defensive coordinators who are great at game planning, they always find a little something to take away from the Dolphins and make Tua uncomfortable. Look, we love Tua, but he has a lot of limitations. If you play his receivers and you let his receivers play behind you instead of in front of you, he doesn't feather the ball over the top well. We see him connect on some downfield passes, but a lot of times that's either Tyreek is so far open you can't miss him, or Tyreek has to jump back over defenders to get the ball. He's got a pop gun for an arm. And defenses that can exploit that, it costs them. And we see it time and again. But the weak teams can't expose that. He looks great. I think that's the problem, Nate. Kevon, Chris Olave or Terry McLaurin. Man, right. I don't think New England comes in this game saying we take out Terry McLaurin, we win. I don't think they're going to do the Belichick treatment. I don't think it's like he's the guy we have to stop. They know he's very good. They know he's an excellent player, but he's not ripping teams up. Olave, his floor is always very good. They're playing the Bears. Even if we see Jalen Johnson on him, Chris Olave's a superstar. I'm going to give Chris Olave the edge because he's getting and McLaurin's getting the targets too. But I think I'm going to give Olave the edge here because he's more likely in this game to get the bigger play. Sleek, morning. Yeah, good Sunday morning. Full PR. Higgins or Pittman? I think the Higgins game shoots out. I think his advantage on the outside corners is vast. Pittman, I think that the Colts could have a lot of success running the ball against Carolina, so they might not need to pass as much. So I think I'm going to give the lean to Higgins here. JKM83, hey to you. Non-PPR, Addison, Downs, Cooks. I like Cooks here. And I keep telling everybody, when you're watching the game today, if you see a double move, if he's on Bradbury and he runs way past him and Dak finds it for a long catch or a long touchdown, you heard it here. You're going to say that's what we're going to look at. I'm playing Cooks here. Addison, I'm worried about the quarterback. Jaren Hall, I don't know what I have. And we know Kirk Cousins was playing at an elite level. Addison, it's not a great matchup. I'm going to give Downs a slight edge if he plays. If he's inactive, then your decision's made for you. But I know Downs is dealing with a knee injury. I know it. But I'm worried about Jaren Hall. Ravi, Trevor Lawrence or Derek Carr? Trevor Lawrence on a bye this week, so I think you have to go with Derek Carr. Chase, Gus Edwards or Aaron Jones? We're going to go with Aaron Jones by a comfortable margin. Gus Edwards is great. Bad matchup. Bobby Wagner makes a big difference on that run defense. They're a very good run defense. Get some Instagram questions here. Ricardo Hernandez, Kareem Hunt, James Cook, or Moss? Pick 2. We're going to sit Kareem Hunt here. Workload's volatile. It's a good matchup, but James Cook since he's not been good against the run, Moss is a phenomenal matchup, even with the same amount of touches as Hunt. So I'm going to go with those 2. I'm going to see if I can get through these Insta questions and then come back and finish out on YouTube. All right. Let me see how many there are, if I can get through these. Text 1, Puka or Lockett. I think Lockett has a similar floor and a higher ceiling. We're going to go with him. Benjamilian, Parham or Musgrave. Musgrave's kind of fallen off, but the matchup here is not bad. And Parham, it's a good matchup against the Jets, but Gerald Everett, I think Gerald Everett's playing. I think he is. And if he's not, if we find out, I didn't hear he was inactive. If you get word that Everett's not going to play, then go with Parham. Otherwise, let's go with Musgrave. He'll get 3 for 30 for you. That might be enough. BHSS on BH3SS on Insta. Hollywood or Godwin? I got to go with Godwin here. I think it's a bad enough matchup for Hollywood, and Godwin's a tougher matchup, but he's Chris Godwin, and Baker Mayfield gets him the ball. And all right, let's see what else we got. Our City Stripe, Cooks or Ford? Oh, I'm going James Cook here. Ford still isn't 100% with the ankle, so I'm going to be out on that. Sosa taught me going Olave or Pittman. Yeah, we are. Because Pittman, they might not need to run a lot. Oh, I'm almost caught on the Insta question. I can close on Insta. Akers, Ingram, or Freeman. You know what? Ingram is probably going to get you 10 touches, 35 yards. Akers is a better chance of scoring a touchdown. It's a tough matchup, but he's been using the goal line. I'm going to go with him. And I'm caught up on Insta. So those are my questions. If you want to find me, come over to RotoWire YouTube. I'm finishing the show out there. Thank you for joining me, everyone. We're out. All right. All right, let's come back and finish out here now. Johnny Football, I can look at everybody now here. Does Keontae Ingram rank in my top 2? No, I think I gave him 35 yards. I gave him, he's terrible. And in Cleveland will give up big runs, but those are to explosive backs. And that's not Keontae Ingram. And they're going to trail. And yeah, I just don't see him more than 35 yards. And that's a volume play. So I don't see him as much. Taysom Hill or Ferguson. Taysom Hill's usage has been extreme the last 3 weeks, and he even got the usage when Juwan Johnson came back last week. So I have to say right now, Ferguson's always a fine play, but I think Taysom Hill, we have to think that usage is going to continue, and the Bears aren't going to do much to slow him down, and there's a much better chance Taysom scores than Ferguson. Love Ferguson. I just think Taysom's a little bit better of a play. Stronger Shakir. Ravi, we got to go with Shakir. The usage has been up since Dawson knocked him on the IR. They went to more 3 receiver sets. He played, I want to say, 82% of the snaps last week against Tampa, and I think that continues. In the matchup against Cincy, this is not last year Cincy's defense. And Delroy, Ferguson, or Everett, I'm going to go with Ferguson here. Everett has a great matchup, but so does Ferguson. And Dak loves going to his tight end, and the Jets pass rush could really make it problematic for Justin Herbert to a degree, and Everett may not be 100% coming off the injury too. So we'll go with Ferguson there. Ed, standard scoring, Ken Walker or Kareem Hunt. Don't overthink it. Ken Walker played through a calf last week, and he got his workload cut. Against Baltimore, he probably catches a few passes. And remember, he can make the explosive run. Kareem Hunt, yeah, he's in a good spot. I get it. But I think Ken Walker gets more work. And I think Ken Walker is more likely to break a long run. And he's been gold in the red zone, too. So Hunt's been scoring. But I think we don't overthink it. I think we play the guy he's back to the lead back, I expect. I think last week is due to his calf. Because the trend was he was playing and he has been playing at a dominant level. Alex Mayer, sit one, Olave, Collins, James Cook, or Rachaad White. You're in PPR. So, Rachaad White's going to catch his 4 to 6 balls, and that's going to give him a floor. I don't expect a lot of yardage. So I think if you want the floor, you keep White in. If you want more boom bust, Collins, tougher matchup, but he could break the long play. In Miami, Raheem Mostert, touchdown run, cuts it to a score game. It's nice. So we're going to go with that boom bust is going to be Collins, White's going to be the floor, and you're going to play Olave and James Cook. Tom, welcome back. Chuba or Moss? Chuba gets more volume in this game, and I like that Grover Stewart's out, the defensive tackle for me. That helps, but I think ultimately Moss on his 10 to 11 carries against Carolina, that defense can't stop anyone, and Moss just keeps getting it done week after week. I still think Chuba's safer floor, but I think Moss is a reasonable floor and more ceiling. But ultimately, the volume goes to Chuba. Chuba gets the volume here. So if you want to be safe with the volume, it's Chuba, and he'll get some catches too. Moss is playing so dang well. And if they get a big lead, maybe he gets a lot of work late too. So I would, my lineup, I'm starting Moss, but Chuba is a very safe play. Vinny, Downs or Wandale? All right, if Downs is active, I'm still playing Downs over Wandale. Wandale should go back to the 6 to 8 targets of Daniel Jones, but they're Daniel Jones targets. And the Raiders have been surprisingly decent on defense. Tell the Lions that, but Josh McDaniels gone. I think they go back to playing for Antonio Pierce pretty well here. So I'm going to go with Josh Downs if he's active, obviously. Delroy, Philly or Chargers defense? Chargers defense, Joey Bosa just does not look like the player he was a few years ago. I'm going to go with Philly because I wouldn't drop Philly. I'd keep Philly on the roster. Chargers just are not a defense to trust. Shookson, Hill or Goddard? I talked about Hill's volume and how I expect that to continue. Goddard, obviously up and down, but Goddard could have some real upside, but Hill has upside too. I think at this point, I'm gonna go with Goddard because Dallas can be had in the middle of the field. And I think there's a high scoring game. It's 51-49 Goddard. If your gut says Hill, I get it, but I'm going to go with Goddard if it's my lineup. Cass, Matt, Ron, Stevenson or Chuba? Matt, all right. Stevenson's not getting run blocking, and now he faces the interior tackles who are very good for the Commanders. It's hard to run on them. It's easier to pass. I think Chuba's safer. And Chuba probably has a bit more ceiling here. Mac or Bryce. Mac Jones is a great matchup because, like I just said, they stopped the run, but they really can't. And then now no Chase Young or Montez Sweat. They both got traded away. Now we got a possibility here. So I'm going to go with Mac in this one. I know Bryce is a good matchup too, but I just don't see him throwing multiple touchdowns. And I think the Colts grind the clock and shorten the game. Oh, I got some super chat questions. Hang on. And I never see this. It's like real small on top of my screen. All right, I got a couple of super chats here. Let me get these. Bobby, I don't see a question with that. Bobby, thank you for being here. I don't see a question with yours. I'll try to keep my eye open if one does appear, but definitely I'll look for you here and see if we can get your question answered here. All right. We're at 11 or 12 Eastern, but let me see where I'm at here on the question now. Where did I go? All right. Whenever I click the super chat, it bounces me off of where I was at. So, all right, Johnny Football, Hunter Henry or Trey McBride. I think we're going Hunter Henry here. It's a great matchup for him. They're going to have to throw first in this one. McBride probably has to block a little more this week because of Cleveland's pass rush. Steve, need one in one of these in a flex. Marquise Brown, Romeo Doubs, or Devin Singletary. Singletary is the highest floor of them, and I think his ceiling is reasonable enough. Marquise Brown's just a bad matchup, and he's got Clayton Tune. Doubs, it might be a lower volume game and maybe a little more Aaron Jones. I'm going to go with Singletary for the floor here. Chris Cook, good morning to you as well. Non-PPR, Dell, Demario Douglas, JSN, Charbonnet, Roschon. I think Demario Douglas has a really good floor here and a good matchup. And I think if you want the boom bust play and you want the middle of the field is something you could attack on Tampa. So Dell has a bigger ceiling. But I think Demario Douglas has a high enough floor. I think that he's trustworthy for that. But again, if you need to go for the big play, then it might be Dell who could cash that in the middle of the field. C. Faulkner, Eagles or Raiders defense. If you're rostering the Eagles, if they're both on your roster, you don't have to pick one up of the waivers. In that case, man, it's hard. The Raiders are playing pretty well. Andrew Thomas is back, the left tackle. I still think the Eagles have a better chance for takeaways. I think ultimately it'll be a conservative game plan from the Giants. I'd probably go with the Eagles there. Mordenheim, Puka, Myers, or Dotson. I think Myers is your safest of this group. And I know Aiden O'Connell's in, but O'Connell threw him the touchdown in Chicago. I think the safest play is Myers. Sleek, full PPR. Pick two. Godwin, Gus Bus, or Puka. I'm going to go with Godwin here. Puka, I think the defense compresses, and you got the Brett Rippett at quarterback, and Gus Bus, bad matchup. Godwin just has a great floor. Let me just see where I'm at question-wise. I probably got to skate through these a little bit quickly now to get everybody set up for kickoff. All right, so let me see where I'm at. There we go. Okay. Frenzy, full PPR. You need 3. Projected to lose by 17. DJ Moore, Demario Douglas, Shaheed, Brandon Cooks, Dell, McBride. And all right, so you need 2 of those because I'm not going to flex those running backs, I don't think. So we're going to go with Cooks because I think it's a great matchup against Philly. The corners are not playing at that level they were. And then we're going to go with DJ Moore because I don't think that the Marshawn Lattimore and Alontae Taylor are good matchups. They're bad. They're not bad matchups for him because Moore will get open underneath and get a lot of shorts of some yards after the catch. So go with those 2. Running back of your 3, Henderson and Freeman, I think Packers are better against the run than they used to be, and I do expect them to compress the box because of the bad quarterback, Brett Rippon. So I'm going to go with forward here. Even though he's limited, I think his matchup is good enough where he can get it done for you. Brian Upton. And anybody out there, Brian always reminds me, please hit the like button and subscribe if you could. It'd be greatly appreciated. I have a bunch of threads up on the X at Jim Coventry NFL. If you can give me a follow there, it'd be greatly appreciated. But then you can see any of the games. I have quick notes on each and 4 different threads. And I have one post that tells you the link to each of those so you can catch that out. So the Chiefs winning by 7, 14 minutes left in the 4th, and they're on their own 30. All right, Brian, all right, what do you got here? Won't have to drop Dallas. You can pick up one for this week. Do you play Atlanta, Giants, Chargers, Raiders, Green Bay, Texans? You know what? The Giants would have the best chance of doing something because of the interior pressure they get from Dexter Lawrence and Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. Dallas could always create a lot of havoc, and you'd hate to see them get a pick 6 and you bench them. I don't think the upside of any of those other defense makes it worth it. Because because Dallas could get that big player here. Micah Parsons could get the fumble, sack fumble, and that could turn into something big. So, Leon. All right. Keenan Allen for Cooper Kupp. Who wins? Matthew Stafford's a short-term injury. Keenan Allen hasn't had the upside since Mike Williams went down. I think Cooper Kupp slightly wins. Slightly. Dylan. Start one PPR, full PPR. Keontae Ingram, Charbonnet, or Gainwell. If your gut says Gainwell, trust it. Because I don't think Ingram's going to get 35 yards. Charbonnet, I think he's back to that reserve role because Ken Walker's calf wasn't on the injury report this week where it was the week prior. So I would probably trust your gut. There's no reason that the other players are not good enough to make you go against your gut feel. Zabby, morning to you as well. Already in a huge hole, but who cares? Nice. 7-1 your team stack. Very nice, very nice. I don't think there's a question there, but excellent. I'm glad your season's going extremely well. Ray Willis, Jerome Porter, Marquise Brown. So I do think Ford's still limited on the ankle. Is a great matchup. He probably gets you 50 yards here with a chance to score. And that's Marquise Brown, probably 50 yards, but really not a great chance to score because Clayton Tune in the pass rush of Cleveland. I don't know there's downfield stuff working here. I'm going to say Ford is safer and Marquise Brown is more boom bust. The safe play is Ford. Emmy, Giants, Raiders, or Colts, defense, special team. I think the Giants, the interior pressure from Dexter Lawrence could be a problem for Aiden O'Connell, so I would lean that way. Johnny Football, drop DJ Moore at Puka Nacua. Justin Fields is coming back. No, I wouldn't. Justin Fields is supposed to be back Thursday, it looks like. So at that point, DJ Moore is back to being a wide receiver one. Puka could be that too, right? I'm a DJ Moore truther. Probably the wrong person to ask. I think those crazy games, we could see the crazy games from DJ Moore when Fields comes back. Come on, Patrick Mahomes, downfield shot. Oh, Mark, imagine this. Marquez Valdes-Scantling dropping a deep pass on a 3rd and 9. We've never seen that before. He's looking for a flag. Not getting it, sir. All right, let's see what we got here. UTN. Let me see. I got the super chat questions, right? Yeah, I think OG Bobby, have a question here? OG Bobby, I'm seeing that you made some super chat thing, but there's no question attached to them. Let me see if I can find you in the. Let me just see if I can find a question from you in here. Oh wait, here you go. OG Bobby, I'm finding your question at the bottom. I'm looking for a question. I'm saying you're sending it, but I'm not getting any question. I see you at the bottom. You chimed in. Oh, here we go. I found a question from you. All right. So you said, here you go, 1 point PPR. You need Downs or Devin Singletary. If you lose, you're pretty much eliminated. All right. Singletary should get 15 touches in this game. Josh Downs is less than 100% with a knee injury. And also, it's a good possibility that they're so successful on the ground in Indianapolis, they might not have to throw a lot here. And I know they really don't want Gardner Minshew to have to throw a lot. So I think between the injury and the running game, I think Devin Singletary is going to be your play. And I think Singletary has a better chance of scoring for you. So that's the way to go. And I don't know how to use that super chat thing either, Bobby. So there's a way to put your question in with that. But and I see Charlene is here. Welcome aboard. And you're going to talk tomorrow. Awesome. All right, let me see where else we're at here. So let me see if I can go back to where it was. Give me a minute to find where I'm at here because I got to scroll back through and find out where I was. All right, so I answered Johnny Football, and I think we're on UTN. All right, Freeman, Jahan Dotson, or Quentin Johnson. Or JSN. I'm going to go with Dotson. I think he has a decent floor, 3-4 catches. Freeman, it's going to be a tough matchup. I think the Packers are going to compress. Quentin Johnson, he's with Palmer out now. He's going to get either Sauce Gardner or DJ Moore. Roshan, we never know what his role is. The coaching staff has just not been committal to him. So, yeah, we're going to go with Jahan Dotson there. All right, Johnny Football, trade proposal. You received Nacua, give up more. I like the DJ Moore side of that, but again, Puka proves everybody wrong like every week, so I get it. I get that as well. I like the DJ Moore, but I'm a DJ Moore truther. Lucas, Jordan Addison, Michael Thomas, Josh Downs. Thomas has the safest floor because Addison, we don't know if we're getting another quarterback out of Jaron Hall here. Michael Thomas is the best floor, and Downs is less than 100% right now. So we're going to go with Michael Thomas there. J Red, no question. Oh, man, appreciate you. Thank you for hitting the like and subscribe button. I really appreciate you. Jay, mean a lot, man. Mean a lot. Donnie Rudolph, full PPR. Downs, Olave. We got to go Olave. The floor has been, even in the floor games, it's solid. And we know the roof is there, and the Bears are not a bad matchup. So I'm going to end Downs is less than 100%. We're going to go with that. Daniel, you want Lockett or Addison? Yeah, I don't trust the quarterback, Jaron Hall. I'm going to go with Lockett. Lockett should get enough done. I know it's a tough matchup. Geno Reed's defense is post-snap, so I like that. Oh, I'm freezing up on questions here. This isn't good. Oh, there we go. All right, Austin Shane, ROS, 12-team PPR. Calvin Ridley and Sam Laporta are available on waivers. Would I pick up either or replace Jacoby Myers? I have to think Calvin Ridley's going to perk up. I think the bye maybe has to help them from a play calling perspective. I know they don't do a lot of teaching on the bye week, but I have to think they found out some things he did well, and they're going to focus on that. Laporta obviously is a strong play as well. I think Laporta and Ridley over the course of the season, especially with Aiden O'Connell now the starter, I think they have more upside than Myers. So Ridley is more boom bust. Laporta is more of a stable option, so I would base it on that. Daniel, thanks, man. I appreciate you. Thank you. Billy Shields. Let me see. Do I have another super chat? Oh, OG Bobby. Downs or Singletary? I hope I answered that for you. If I didn't already, it was Singletary and the volume. I think we went. All right, let me find where I was at. All right, Billy Shields, gotcha. Smith and Jigba or Christian Watson? Oh man. All right, so this one, Smith and Jigba. The 7-target game came when Metcalf was out, and not a great matchup against Baltimore. Christian Watson, at least we don't have a good coverage secondary with the Rams. I'll give Watson the 60-40 edge here. Uncle Ted can't decide between Bijan, JT, and Kenneth Walker. I like JT. The matchup is phenomenal. He has more snap percentage each week. I'm going to go with JT in a pristine matchup. J Red, Ferguson or Logan Thomas, 50-50. Love them both. I do think Ferguson in a potential shootout, there's more probable points in that game. That gives me a 51-49 edge on Ferguson. And, neither team defends. Well, the Eagles don't defend the middle of the field ball, so it is a big advantage here. Oh, Mostert fumbled. Thinking they came up with it. Wow, that was a big fumble. That would have been in field goal range for the Chiefs, too. All right, Tyler Sperry, Logan Thomas, McBride, or Schultz, or Everett. I got to go with Logan Thomas. He has a solid floor. New England's not going to still have to stop him for sure, so we like that. Stephen Lopes, full PPR, Gallup or JSN. Gallup's tough because they force him 10 targets in 1 week. He has not been good, but he's on the field more than JSN is, and not great about the JSN matchup. I would be inclined to go 51-49 Gallup. It's super close. Dude Love, thank you. Appreciate you. Pittman or James Cook? Pittman's a double-edged sword here because, again, beautiful matchup, but how much will they need to throw is the question. They might be able to run all day. James Cook, it's a great matchup. Since he is not good against the run, we have the version of them from last year, but that's not them. I think James Cook is 52-48 over Pittman is close because, Pittman, if they have to throw, then he could have a big game. But Cook can get a couple big runs here. I slightly lean toward Cook, but if your gut says Pittman, I get it. Chris Cook, more in you as well. Non-PPRs are 2, Downs, Douglas, Dell, JSN, Charbonnet. If Downs is active, I'm gonna make him and Dell this way, and then they're together. If you want a floor between those two. Downs, if you want to go boom bust for that spot, you're gonna go Dell. I'm putting Demario Douglas in as the second one because his floor. He has a very stable floor and is a good matchup for him. And Andrea, thank you. Stafford is as expected out. Thank you for confirming that because obviously I can't get to those while I'm doing the stream. So thank you for telling me that. And Glenn Rowe, Mac Jones or David Carr or Derek Carr. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, we're gonna go with they both have good matchups. It's more probable that New England realizes they got to go pass first in this game. They're not going to be able to run much on Washington. Whereas Carr is boom bust because they could run all day on the Bears and not have to think about passing. But Carr has a much higher ceiling, but he has a lower floor. If you want to save, and I think Mac Jones gets you about 18 quarterback points today. So I think Jones is safe. But if you need a 25, Carr could get you a 12 or a 25, depending if they have to throw. Lucy, Palmer's out. I know. Not PPR, Boyd or Douglas. Both are in good spots here. I think that Cincinnati's going to be able to attack the outside corners with some advantage. I don't think they're going to have to force the middle of the field here. Demario Douglas right now may be the best option, even though he's a slot receiver that Mac Jones has. And so I think Douglas has higher target volume. So I would give Douglas a 60-40 edge over Boyd. Chris, Puka and Cup, should you start them over Addison, Dell, or Demario Douglas? All right, so I'm calling Cup a wide receiver 2 this week with downside because we got Brett Rippon. The defense, my guess is they compress heavy and make him try to throw downfield, and they don't think he can. But I think Cup running the slot will have enough to get open and get some points. So and then the other thing with Puka is, this could be one of those games where the outside, a lot of Jair Alexander, about half, if he's on that side half the time, they get Jair Alexander. It's not a good matchup, but he's one. Puka's like one, but now the quarterback, having Stafford makes everything work. So I think Demario Douglas is a safer floor than Puka. But again, if your gut says Puka, you got to go with it because the dude proves everybody wrong every week. So, and Charlene, good to see you here. Convinced you made a good call. Traded Deshaun Watson for Purdy. You know what? Right now, Deshaun Watson is very risky. We don't know what his season's going to look like. We don't know what his shoulder's like. We don't know if another hit's going to make it a problem. Purdy, I actually had him I was talking about him on a show the other day, and I said, you know what? He's had one touchdown in recent games. I think that's a short-term thing. I think he's back to the 2 touchdown a game guy because he'll get his left tackle back. He'll get Debo back. It's a stars and scrubs roster. And if they're missing some of their stars, they're in trouble more than most other teams. So, yes, I think you made a good trade there. I think because it's pretty safer. Watson is a lot of risk. Delroy, Chargers or Deagles. You know what? They're not even – the Chargers, they struggle to get pressure. I'm going to go with the Eagles. And then OG Bobby, I think I answered that for you already. I'm glad thank you for being in with me. Devin Singletary went over downs there. Charlene, Henderson or Hubbard. So, again, Henderson's found a way to get it done in a couple games. I fully expect that Green Bay is going to compress their defense because of Brett Rippon at quarterback. And I think that's going to make it very hard to find windows. So I am going to give Chuba Hubbard the edge on volume as a runner and receiver, and Grover Stewart, the defensive tackles, out for Indy, and that at least makes that run defense a little more attackable. And then Bobby, I did get you good. Armando, I hope you're doing well as well. Hurt bad at running back. Charbonnet or Roshan Johnson. So the Bears probably trail in this game. The Bears do like Roshan as a passing down back, but man, they use Darrington Evans as well. And that hurts. Charbonnet, I do think that last week, Ken Walker, it was the calf, and they, kind of left, give him a break, and Charbonnet got a little more work. So it's hard to see that happening again. I do think Roshan Johnson is going to get more work than Charbonnet, but it's a horrible matchup. Charbonnet doesn't have a good matchup either. I'm going to give Roshan Johnson a 51-49. Oh, Akers. Akers is a bad matchup. He's getting 10 or 11 touches. He gets goal line work and some receptions. I'm going to go Akers over both of them. I'm going to go Akers over all of them. And Charlene, I definitely will see you tomorrow. All right. And Bobby, yep, we got you set up there. Excellent. Alec, little worried about Puka or Lockett. Yeah, again, you heard me talk about the compressing in the defense that I expect. I fully expect that's the way they have to play it. And I do think Lockett is a better play. Gino processes post-snap, and that's where Baltimore's been great. They're Mike McDonald, the defensive coordinator, really changes looks after the snap. And so, no, I think Lockett is a little bit better of a play this week. Again, like I tell you, Puka proves everybody wrong every week. So if you believe in him, go with it. But I like Lockett a bit better. Joe Miller, rest schedule, non-PPR, choose the following on my team. Cook, Connor, Ford. I'm the wrong guy to ask you. I love James Conner. But look, Kyler's coming back. Connor's a beast. And with Kyler Murray, that even raises him when he's on the field. And he's missed his games now. We have to bet he'll be healthy the rest of the way. For me, James Conner. He's going to catch the ball. He's going to run the ball. He's a beast at the red zone. And with Kyler, they should get in the red zone more. But Javante's really close because Javante's playing at a high level right now. So if you have a feel for Javante, then go that way. I just think James Conner is the all-around three down back, and he's going to see 75-80% of the snaps. And I think that's going to be the way I would go. Billy Shields. Olave, Smith and Jigba, Christian Watson. I pick 2. Olave is going to be an auto start. His floor is always high, and he has a ceiling. Because of the matchup, I'm going to go with Watson over Smith and Jigba because it's a great matchup. Isaac, Chuba, or Watson. Watson, flex PPR. Chuba for volume. Chuba's so safe, and we just haven't seen Watson compared to him get enough done to be able to outplay that. And he should see some receptions. Again, no Grover Stewart on the defensive line. That really hurts Indy's run D. Billy Shields, Deshaun Watson, Stroud. So my line on Watson has been until I see him play a game and do well, I can't trust him because the last time they played him, he couldn't make the throws and then he got knocked out. But that already showed he didn't have it going on. So CJ Stroud is not a good matchup. Outside corners are going to be tough. They're going to blitz a lot. But because I can't trust Watson to finish a game right now, I got to say CJ Stroud. And that's my only reason. I think if Watson was to play the whole game, it would be easy Watson over Stroud. But there's so much uncertainty. I got to see him have a successful game before I can reliably endorse him. Tua took a sack on a 2nd and 16. Wow, 5 minutes left in that game, 21-14. Wow. All right. Joshua, DJ Moore or Puka Nacua? Again, I think DJ Moore, he has an advantage on the New Orleans corners. They're the bigger press guys, but he's going to get underneath. Bagent does throw him the ball a lot. I think Moore gets 5 to 7 catches, maybe only 40, 50 yards, but I think he has a really good floor and he could break something. If your gut says Puka, I get it. I would lean DJ Moore. Frenzy, thank you. Thank you for being here, and I'm glad you love the show. Thank you. Jeff Marcus, Dell, Dubs, Elijah Moore, Dotson, need one. Your boom bust play is Dell here because you can get the middle of the field, downfield shot against this defense in Tampa. But I think Dubs and Dotson are both about equal. Morris is not getting yards after the catch. Dubs and Dotson are both good floor plays here. After Dotson, the big game last week, we really want to go running to him. Dubs is getting targeted in the red zone, and it's an easier matchup. Dell's your boom bust. I think the safer floor of the remaining 3 would probably be Romeo Dubs. That's a tough one. All right. And OG Bobby, we set you up. And Kale Sport, Singletary or Moss. Oh, man, with Pierce. So Singletary gets a few more touches than Moss. Moss probably gets, 11, 12, and Singletary gets 15 to 17. So there's that. Singletary has a fairly solid matchup, but Moss has like the best possible matchup. So, but they both have upside in this game. Because Singletary's going to get a little more volume, I would lean Singletary. Because there's always Jonathan Taylor, just they give him even more work. So I think Singletary would be safer here. Delroy, Downs, Douglas, Wandale, Robinson. Because Downs is limited with the knee injury, assuming he plays, I assume he's active at this point. Since he asked the question now, he's got to be active. So I'm going to say Demario Douglas is a higher floor in this game. They're going to have to throw, and he's like the best they've got right now. And then Jeff Marcus, Cook or Mixon. Oh, man, that's a tough one. Both run defenses can be had. Cook will get spelled more than Mixon will. Mixon has a stronger likelihood of being used at the goal line than Cook. I'm going to give Mixon a 55-45 edge. Khalil, morning to you as well. Hunt, Ford, or Singletary. I'm going to go with Singletary for volume. Ford, I don't think is 100% yet. He'll have more work than the other two, and I guess it puts a probability in our favor. And then, Joshua is a good question between the two, Hunt or Ford. I think if they get out to a lead, Ford could see fewer snaps than usual. And Hunt might catch more passes because with Ford's ankle, he might not run him as many routes. I'd give Hunt the edge. And at the goal line, they might use him over Ford because if Ford's ankle is bad, you don't want him running that wash. That's why I give Hunt the slight edge. James Smith, Henderson, or Gus the Bus. Oh, man. Gus is a rough matchup. I think Henderson's going to see a compressed defense because of the quarterback. Gus has a better chance of scoring a touchdown. I'll give Gus a 53-47 edge. Joshua, Ferguson, Aaron Jones. I'm gonna go with Aaron Jones. If the coach says he's a full go, I've seen it. They've been ramping him up. They have to have him. So I'm gonna go with him. Jeff, Bills or Falcons? The Falcons don't get outside pressure, and the Minnesota offensive line is good. And even though they have Jaron Hall, they might not be able to create enough havoc. Whereas the Bills, they're going to have to play really aggressively, but they're dealing with Joe Burrow and a offense that's clicking right now. I still think there's a better chance that the Bills could have one of those games where their pass rush wakes up. Bills 52-48. Andrea Dallas or the Chargers. You know what? Chargers are just they're terrible. Dallas at least has a chance for big plays. I'll go with them. James Smith, Devontae Smith, or Michael Pittman. Pittman has a higher floor. There's a chance it's not a ceiling game because if they can run all day on Carolina, they might not need to pass a lot. Devontae Smith, he had the busted coverage touchdown last week, but he hasn't been great. But I think Devontae Smith is your boom bust play. And I think Pittman has a higher floor. So I would look at that. Tim J, Taysom Hill or Pitts. You know, the usage for Hill's been 3 weeks in a row. And Pitts plays 60% maximum of the snaps, doesn't run routes all the time. And I know Drake London's out. I don't think it's a correlation. It's Arthur Smith. I'm going to go with Taysom's recent extreme usage in an easy matchup. Chris Cook, good morning. Needed wide receiver 3. Rashid or Michael Thomas? So it's basically this. Thomas gets you about 10 PPR points a game. Rashid Shaheed could get you 2, and he could get you 23. So that's kind of where you're at with that. If you want the boom bust, it's Rashid Shaheed. If you want the floor, it's Thomas. Colel, Flowers, or Singletary. Flowers is a tough cornerback matchup here. And I'm going to go with Singletary for volume. Akers or Charbonnet. Lex plants some trees. I'm going to go with Akers. He's getting some goal line work. It's a bad matchup, but the offensive line is really, really good. And I'm going to trust that. And I think Charbonnet goes back to a lesser workload because this week we didn't see Kenneth Walker on the injury report. Chaka, Zach Moss or Darrell Henderson. Again, I expect Green Bay to compress their defense with Brett Rippon a quarterback. Zach Moss is a cake matchup, so I like that. OG Bobby, best streaming defense. Patriots, Packers, Raiders, Colts, Giants, Commanders. All right, let's see what we got here. Of this group, I think I'm going to go with the I'm going to go with Patriots because I think Bill Belichick is going to have something on film about Sam Howell, and I think he's going to get 5 sacks, and I think he could get a big turnover. I think that's the way I would go for that. And if you were going to drop Madison or Tyjae Spears, Madison's just trending downward. I don't see any upside with him, and he's losing the goal line work to Akers now. So I would probably go with Madison, drop Madison. Lex plants of trees, Howell or Chase Stroud. Chase Stroud. CJ Stroud, maybe you mean? It's a tough one because I do think Belichick could really make him struggle. So I probably do have to go give CJ Stroud a slight edge there. But I do think Howell's boom bust. I think Stroud is a higher floor. Austin Smith, Brian Robinson, Jahan Dotson, or Demario Douglas. Demario Douglas is the safest of the 3. And I don't know that any of the other players have a potential upside that's greater than that. So I would go with Demario Douglas. And Nancy, you got Puka, Green Bay, Lockett against the Ravens. Like I always say, Puka proves everybody wrong every week. So if your gut says him, I get it. But Lockett is in a better situation. Gino reads post-snap and all that, the change the Ravens do after the snap, that isn't necessarily going to get to him. So I would give Lockett a slight lean there. Maverick, start 2. Puka, Godwin, Aaron Jones, or Hubbard. I'm going to go Godwin, Aaron Jones. I'm going to go with the talent. They both should have opportunity. Godwin doesn't have the best matchup against Houston, but Godwin's a starter, and his quarterback's getting him the ball, and he's throwing to him in the red zone. He's just not always converting, but I'm going to go with the 2 superstars there. Chris, you need a tight end. Dallas, Goddard, or Kincaid? Goddard's been seeing enough volume, and I think there's a very good matchup for him. And Kincaid is a great matchup as well. Both should be higher scoring games. So to me, it's a 50-50 proposition right now. But Goddard, we've seen it from 2 weeks for Kincaid. We've seen it for 4 years from Goddard. I'm going to give Goddard a 52-48% edge because if it's a big game, big stage, he's there, he's done it, and I'm going to trust that. It's a gut call. If your gut call goes otherwise, I get it. Raheem Mostert, big run. All right. Drew, Breece Hall, or Keenan Allen? I'm going to go Breece Hall. He can get it done as a runner or a receiver, whatever they need. Keenan Allen, they may not be able to run him in the slot as much as usual. Josh Palmer's out. If they're in 2 receiver sets, he's going to be on the outside as Gardner or DJ Reed. And they're probably going to bracket him because they don't worry about anybody else. I'm going to give Breece Hall the edge there. Rick, half PPR, need 2 for the flex. Chuba, Higgins, Amari, Henderson, Robinson, or Singletary. So Higgins, for me, it's a great matchup. The Bills can't deal with none of the personnel to deal with him. I'm gonna go with him. And the safest floor play of the remaining ones is probably going to be Singletary for volume. But Amari's your boom bust guy because Amari could have the game, but we got to trust Deshaun Watson's arm. Nancy, Walker, or Mixon. Walker has a tougher matchup. Mixon just, he's a compiler, but he gets it done, right? Walker has a better chance of breaking a big play or getting it done in the screen game. I'm going to give Walker a 52-48 edge. Lex plant some trees. Kincaid over McBride. McBride may have to block a lot here, and I'm worried about that because they're going to need to protect Clayton Tune. Last one, Jeff Marcus. Tutu, Shakir, Crowder, Murray, or Williams. Thank you for the nice comment. You know what? I think Shakir is going to continue his role with Dawson knocks out, and that was 80% of the snaps last week, and it should be a high volume game. I'm going to go with Shakir. And then Nancy, Downs, or Douglas, because of Downs' knee injury and the possibility that Indy can run the ball very successfully and not have to pass, I'm going to give Douglas the edge in the game. I think they have to pass. All right, good luck, everyone. Thanks.